Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a really good new recording of Strauss's An Alpine Symphony and Metamorphosen, which is a considerable appendage. Appendix, thing that comes later. Anyway, an Alpine Symphony used to get trashed as, Strauss's least interesting tone poem. Well, no, maybe that was the Sinfonia Domestica. Well, it was a tie. And now it's getting recorded all the time. Usually not terribly well. It does take a little bit of effort to carry off, like most Strauss tone poems. It has some dead spots, and especially the ending, After the Storm. Oh, my God. But still, people are just sort of whipping it up pretty well. The great recordings, of course, are the Kazimierz chord recording on CD Accord with the Warsaw Philharmonic. I think it's Polish Forces. It's incredibly amazing. And Scholtes with the Bavarian Radio Symphony Orchestra on Decca, which is just fast and exciting and thrilling. Previn's on Telarc is pretty good. I mean, it was his second recording with the Vienna Phil. There are some other good ones. Kempo was always reliable. The problem is you never hear the thunder machine in the storm. Well, you do on Scholtes' recording, and you sort of do on Chord's recording, and you sort of do on this one. The London Philharmonic with Edward Gardner. There's something back there at the climax of the storm, some loud commotion of some kind. But let's face it, the piece does not live or die by the thunder machine. I mean, I've seen it live a few times, and each time, I don't know if you've ever seen a thunder machine in real life. In real life, a thunder machine is a giant sheet of metal. Usually, it's thin. It's very thin, and it's usually, I think it's bronze or brass or something, or aluminum or stainless steel, or maybe Reynolds wrap, something like that. And when you're supposed to do thunder, you wiggle it you hang it from somewhere on the back wall of your auditorium, of your performance space, and then you wiggle it back and forth, and it goes. I mean, you've heard sheets of metal do that. I mean, it's not very convincing as thunder. It's often called a thunder sheet, but in the score, Strauss calls it a Donner machine or something like that. I don't know, and it's better to use some sort of electronic thing, which is what I think Scholtes has. Probably the same electronic thing they used at the end of Götterdämmerung when the castle collapses to make a big noise. There are lots of ways to do thunder, none of them which work terribly well. So, having dispensed with that, let's talk about the rest of the work, shall we? It requires a certain sense of flow. This performance is 50 minutes, which is about average. Scholtes is a bit quicker, which I like. The faster you go, the better it works, the better it sounds. But the London Phil is really up for the job. I mean, the brass section sounds terrific. The recording is a little bit, it's live like most of these things. The recording is a little bit bass shy, but it's not bothersome. The organ is not overpowering. It's well integrated into the mix in the various spots where you need to hear it. The entrance into the wood, is really, really beautifully done. The summit business is nice. The glacier's dangerous moments are dangerous. Gardner doesn't dawdle over the calm before the storm and the vision episode, which who knows what that's a vision of. And the ending is relatively holds your interest. So it's a really good Alpine Symphony. I mean, if you like the work, you're going to want to hear this, because the Alpine Symphony is one of those pieces. It's so big and so complicated and so full of stuff that nobody gets it 100%. I mean, nobody. There's always something somebody brings to the table within the context, if they do it, of a generally good performance. There will be distinctive moments that you won't hear anywhere else. And this is one of those. So, give it a shot. Now, Metamorphosen. Metamorphosen is well, how do you describe Metamorphosen? Well, it's a study for 23 solo strings or whatever Strauss calls it. It's actually a very tragic work, a very sad work. Big, long adagio, most of which is based on a little fragment from the funeral march of Beethoven's Eroica Symphony. It's Strauss's memorial to the destruction of German civilization that the Nazis caused, and it was a deeply personal piece. One of Strauss's late masterpieces, no question about it. It's a difficult work to do. You want it to sound clear. You don't want it to sound glib. You don't want it to sound like 28 minutes of chromatic sludge, which it can very easily turn into. It's been performed very well, actually, throughout most of its career on disc, because I think conductors and the players understand its importance, understand its expressive meaning. And this is a good performance. Is it, Karajan in Berlin? No, it's not. It doesn't have that kind of richness, but it is 27 minutes and 8 seconds. It moves, and I found it very affecting. It's a beautiful performance, but it always works. I mean, by the time Strauss came to write Metamorphosen, he was such an experienced composer, and he knew how to write a piece that, as long as everybody was like, still alive, it was gonna work, and it does. It's I wouldn't say it's foolproof. It can be too slow and too heavy, but normally you get your money's worth, and you do here again as well. The only thing I have to say, in criticism, is that these things are terrible. I know people don't like plastic anymore; it's evil and whatnot, but this is they do print this thing on the back, so you may be able to find it once you stuff it in your bookcase. But my God. Could it possibly be more flimsy? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. That's not really the LPO's fault. That happens with everybody nowadays. So if you're interested in a fine new recording of the Alpine Symphony that has something of the frisson of a live performance, because it is a live performance, give this a shot. I think you'll find it very satisfying. I did. I've been listening to it for weeks, going back and forth to work, on the train, and my headphones, and, also on the big system here at home. And it's held up really, really well. Very well, in fact. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.